Well, today is a new day and I'm feeling a little under the weather, so we're doing a desk job. Not a Land Rover one, I'm sorry, but I do have to fix things sometimes too. This is a Victorinox cyber tool. This is not the knife we're going to fix, but it is part of the story. So I have recently found a Victorinox Swiss Flame in Australia for auction. These were a discontinued Victorinox knife of about the same size and value that were discontinued in about 2005, somewhere about that. I had one. It had a single action lighter in the middle, the only one Victorinox ever made with a lighter in it. And pretty much all of the lighters eventually failed. Mine did as well, and honouring their lifetime warranty, I sent it in for repair, and they sent me a cyber tool instead because they were discontinued at that point, meaning they kept the old one. And I have missed it ever since. Recently I saw a video with somebody repairing one, so I'm going to try and see if I can snaffle this one from auction, but when I get it, I will have to actually repair the lighter, which is going to involve removing the valve. Now, to remove the valve, I'm going to need to remove the stopper, which means I'm going to need to disassemble the knife.
72 hours later.
Alright, we've had a delivery arrive, and this one completes my soul. This is a Victorinox Swiss Flame. These are a discontinued model. They did about, I think they discontinued in about 2008. Only produced for a few years, and they have a lighter in them. And the lighters are notorious for not working, which is why they stopped working. Okay, so my rivets are yet to arrive in the mail, but I'm getting a little impatient, and it's a very wet and windy day today, and I've been washed out of doing Land Rover videos. So we're going to look at doing, I guess, a Victorinox video. I'm going to take out all the tools out of here, and I'm going to look at getting these scales off. Now, I'm told that sitting this in some warm or hot water for a bit will allow them to pop off more easily. Okay, so the warm water did help, and I put this screwdriver in here and just wriggled a little bit, and it'll just come away from here. While it's still soft, I'm going to slide a spudger in here, get as close to that little bit here. These ruby scales make it easier. I'm going to just gently wriggle, not too much force at a time. I'm just trying to walk it off there just a little bit. There we go, and it comes off. Alright, same thing for the other side. Pop that corner up. Gives me a little bit of an entry gap. Can start in here and just lift very gently. It does feel like it's moving. There we go, gentle, gentle. Alright. Oh, I forgot to take the pin out. There we go. Alright, and we have a jig. This can lock in and it can stay nice and flat, which would be good. I'll drill these holes a bit deeper, and then I can use some pin punches after I drill the top of the rivets. Okay, now I think the tutorials I've seen call for a 2.5mm drill bit. Shockingly, I do everything in metric, and I've only got an imperial set of drill bits out here. So let's see. An imperial from Britain. So it's going to be like 332. Alright, let's see if we can drill this out with caution. Now, two things one should normally do when starting this is center punch this, which I'm not, so that can be a problem. The other thing is you'd want to use a 2.5mm drill bit so that you preserve these little crowns. I have a whole new set coming, so I can afford to be a little reckless with them. Now, with my old one, I did remove the scales and I had hoped to repair it. I got nervous. This is the point at which you void your warranty on these. They have a lifetime warranty. Let's see how we go. Alright, we have a pin punch set. 1.5, 3 and 4mm. So we're going to start with our 1.5mm pin. Alright, I couldn't find my needle file, so I gave it a quick touch on the bench grinder very carefully. A little bit of damage to the liner there. Just gentle tap to start with. That's just popped right through. That's popped right through. That one's popped through. Can we get this one, the back spring? Now, what we need to do here carefully is remember the order that all of this goes in. So that and that go in there. This one we're going to need to come off. That's our spring, we'll get that in a minute. This one we might be able to wriggle off. Alright, this is a point I have not been at for almost 20 years. What is it? It's 2004 now. No, 2024. And it was about 2005 when mine stopped working. So, yeah, close to that. So we have a tiny little Phillips screw here, and I think the whole assembly just slides out. It would be nice if these pins didn't intersect bits, because you could undo this screw, remove the lighter for service. But it also keeps it secure. Okay, now at this point, this little lighter here is basically worth about $400 to me. And sometimes you pay stupid amounts of money for things that have sentimental value. That is certainly the case here. And that screw is magnetic. Where's my magnetic screw holder? There. Okay, now I think, if we're lucky, we should be able to pull this assembly out. Alright, according to the YouTuber Fit to Survive, we can just pull these out. It doesn't. Oh, okay, that was a little scary there. Can we come out? We've definitely got it moving. Is something jamming in here? I don't want to break stuff. Okay, we got it. Alright. Now there was a little gauze bit that came out in his that didn't come out in mine. And I think what held it up was a bit of degraded tape sticking in the side here. So there's a little bit of tape around the side. Now in his video he disassembled this whole thing. And what he ended up actually doing was just taking this valve out and drilling out what was a little bit of stuff in there. So what we're going to do, we're going to drain the gas out, and then we're going to see what we can do. Okay, we've got most of the gas drained. Now we're going to try and remove this entire valve here. And just be careful it doesn't drop out. Now see this little stopper here? This is the bit that if you remove, you can probably take this out without disassembling the whole knife. I am very tempted to do that because this could potentially occur again. There we go. I had a little bit of gas pressure. It shot that valve assembly out. That's okay there. So apparently up in there is our problem. Okay, so what we could see down there was another brass piece that should apparently come out. Okay, we're going to snip ourselves off just a couple of little squares of insulation tape here. We're going to stick them on either side of this bit for the moment to make sure that pin doesn't escape. Okay, we got it. I gave it a couple of little taps in that way and shook it out. Now, down this end, we can't see what's going on. Apparently there's a bit of cotton or some stuff that gets stuck in there. I don't know if I've got an appropriate light source. Some sort of cotton stuff down in there. Apparently that's the problem. So here's the drill bit or a pin to try and pick it out. I'm going to find a small drill bit with a hand tool and see if I can get that out. So I happen to have this drill bit here, which seems to be almost the exact perfect size. We can just put a little bit of gentle pressure on it. Don't want to kill anything. I'm being gentle here because of the rarity and difficulty of this. So there's a bit of junk coming out of here. Let's see how we go. Okay, we've been drilling away in here, and you could probably almost see the little seat of the valve in there. I think you can almost see it. Yep, alright, and this light's going flat. I'll put that on charge and we'll be back. Alright, so apparently it can take a couple of attempts to get everything. We're going to drop our brass piece back in. We're going to do this bit back up. I'm not sure how tight it needs to be. Reattempt. Come on, autofocus, you can see what I'm doing. There. Okay. So I've put some gas in. See our bubble of gas there? Can we see it? Whoa. I was shooting gas out there. That is promising. Okay. I do need to do it up just a bit tighter. Let's go up a little bit more. Right, we had a really promising development here. I'm going to change my camera angle up. See what happens here. We've got flames. Haha, we have flames. Oh, I have waited many years to see that. Let's just open her up just a little bit. Just a little bit here. Oh. It is blowing out the sides a little bit. That's okay. Let's go back a bit. We'll find the right adjustment level here. It works! Oh, I'm going to celebrate for a moment. So, now we need to remember where our holes are. I think it goes that way. I don't know where the gauze is. This is... so the bit that is making it firm and hard to get into is the piece of cellophane tape here, and our pin just fell out. I'll be back when I sort that out. Okay, we had to ditch this piece of tape that obviously was there to help assembly. It's too far gone now. I had to reinsert that little hinge pin about 1 billion times, but it looks like it goes in now. If we've done it right, and it's not going to work. Time to investigate why that is. Okay, my hopes are deleted. The tank fractured. I think it might have been a little cool, or it might have just been that the plastic is very old, but it fractured. And that pin dropping out is just going to spite me. I'm not sure how we're going to fix this, or even if we can. Okay, well, I've got the tank separated, and I am quite disheartened at this point, and this is likely what happened to my other one too. The tank just simply wouldn't hold pressure. Okay, I've given it a crude coating of cyanoacrylate glue, also known as Loctite. These used to have numbers on it, but not sure what number this is, but it's very similar to the 406 that I used to use to glue hearing aids back together. ChatGPT tells me it's probably not going to deal with butane long term, but I want to see if this holds gas. Otherwise, I have an idea. It still appears to be leaking somewhere around the top here. Let's have a look. It's not leaking quite as much as it was before. It's leaking all around this bit. Okay, so slight development with the Victorinox Swiss Flame. I came up with a prototype tank, and this could be interesting. I've laser cut 2mm acrylic for the top and bottom, and these, and then a 3mm acrylic middle section. This is in acrylic. I probably will do the final in polycarbonate, but I'm going to see if I can transplant the valve. Okay, so these will hand drill. We'll make our headway into fitting a valve in soon and see if the tank actually holds gas. Okay, so a bit of progress in the experimentation phase. This is my experimental tank. I haven't drilled all the way through on this end, and this step still needs to be redesigned. I haven't bothered clearing all the shavings out of this tank because it's just my test one. In the process of drilling this, it actually cracked the side out, so I had to repair it with glue. But I robbed the filler valve off a completely different type of lighter, just purely to see if this thing will hold gas. So let's put a little bit of gas in here and see if it holds gas. It is. It's leaking out the valve, but it's not leaking out the tank. That is extremely promising. Okay, well, in the progress of this, a few things have arrived. Some 2.5 and 2.2mm brass rod, and a rivet kit apparently for this type of knife, with the little rivet caps as well. So, and plus I have the bits from the old one, so that might help as well. I also picked up a little drill bit. One of the reasons I think I was having problems drilling is that I was doing it with a drill press. Acrylic has this knack for grabbing, and that puts a lot of loading in it. I have found the drill bits that have these attachments, which might fit my little drill here, that might allow me to save my hands but without cracking the acrylic. I've got them in some different sizes. I do need to work out what the thread is for the filler valve, which I have read online it's 4.5mm by 0.5mm pitch. This is not quite going to be that, but we'll experiment. And these were cheap, so I needed a set of thread taps anyway. Worst case, I will go down to the bearing shop and get a tap for the exact size that I need.
1 hour later.
Okay. I have been making prototypes. Alright, and just like that, there's 5 more tanks on the go. They're all gluing up, they're going to set, and we'll see how they go. Okay, so we're making a little bit of progress here. I've drilled it through the 4mm. This is going to have to go to 4.5mm at this end, and I'm going to have to find a thread tap to fit that. I misaligned this one, my little guides were a little bit off, so I may remake a couple more. I need to be level with the top of this, not the bottom, but progress is still there. Alright, we are very dangerously close to having a functional tank here. This hole here is a 4.5mm hole. Then I put the drill bit in the lathe very slowly and give it a bit of a wriggle just to bring it out just a fraction. And then I put a little bit of plumber's grease or tap grease on the O-rings, and it's popped in. It's a little firmer than originally would have been. But that's okay, it'll keep a good tight gas seal. So what we want to do now, really only one thing remains here. This should slide in and it should do up. We just need to thread in this piece here. So we need to get a thread tap the same as this so we can do it up tight, push down on that rubber seal there. It's also worth acknowledging some of the casualties on the way here. Snapped off one of my circuit board drills when getting this hole in by hand. Okay, so I came back from my infusion today. I went and had the valve assembly looked at by a bearing joint. They told me it was an M5 intermediate, a 1/2 mil thread tap to do that. And I just went to take this thread tap out and tap the tank. This is our problem. And then I had a closer look at this, which is not easy to see. This is not an M5, it's an M3. It's a 3mm, not a 5mm tap. Utterly useless to me, and that shop is an hour away. Okay, so we have a tank that is holding gas finally. I've got a 5mm by 0.5mm thread tap, threaded in fine. Instead of making myself a proper snake eyes bit, I used a pair of pliers and I slipped and I snapped the outlet valve off. This would work if I hadn't have done that. So, yeah, I screwed up. I have this valve assembly that might work. Okay, this does hold gas, and the valve does work to dispense gas. It's not going to be regulated because, well, this is no longer going to adjust the gas flow because it's not going to work in and out of that. But it might work. Alright, so I trimmed the valve stem down and it sort of works. This diameter here is not quite right. It's a little bit too big to fit between the tongs. This is a little bit big for the hose. This is a bit long. I could probably fix that, but I'm going to keep looking around different lighters and see if I can find a valve assembly that works. How the adjustment's going to happen, I don't really know. But yeah, we'll get there step by step. Alright, this project might not be over. I've just got some really good news. An anonymous donor is sending me some parts. I'm not sure what that means, but seems to be fairly confident that it might fix my problem. So I'll be really happy to see what happens when it gets here. But yes, they've asked that I not reveal who they are, so we'll leave it a mystery. We'll see what happens. Alright, this is going to be a two-parter. It's getting too long in the tooth. I have had some really good news. I will have a second chance at this. I'm still going to continue to try and find valve parts that are off the shelf to make replacement valves for these. Fit to Survive has been really wonderful. He's replied to my emails. I'm going to try and send him some tanks, and we might potentially work together, hopefully. So yeah, this will be a two-parter. When the next one arrives, there'll be a second part. I'll make a playlist. I'll put the link below when I'm done. Hopefully this works out. Anyway, see you in part 2.